All right, you made it. So here we're going to take a look at our first technique. And this is something that we will be continuing to practice throughout the entire program. It's a technique that is called focusing with a capital F. Now, before we go any further, just a quick note on how this is going to be structured. This video is going to give you the quick overview presentation of what focusing is, where it comes from, and why it's important to us in this program. You'll also find beneath the video a step-by-step guide in written form for you to reference with some examples. And you'll also find on the same page a link to an audio recording, which you can also download, which goes for about 15 minutes and basically guides you through the steps of the practice, which you can try as many times as you like just to get a sense of this practice. So let's get into it. To start, just a bit of history. So focusing was developed by an American academic named Eugene Gendlin, who started with a pretty simple question back in the 1950s, which is, why is it that some people find psychotherapy genuinely transformative and others find it to be kind of a waste of time? He carried out extensive research, really looking to isolate what actually can produce the change that people are looking for. So what he found was actually that there was a very specific way of relating to one's own experience, inner experience, and a specific skill. And that skill is what he came to call focusing. So Gendlin breaks focusing down into 6 steps. And when you're first learning it, you go through those steps one by one in order. But over time, as you get more familiar with the process, the steps tend to merge into one continuous, complete kind of exercise. But for now, we'll look at each of those 6 steps in sequence. So to start the process, the first step is just to clear a space. And that just means settling yourself in a nice, quiet, relaxed environment. And then it means doing a kind of inventory, quick check of what's on your mind, what are you feeling in that moment. And usually when you just ask yourself that question, there's quite a lot that can be there. So then it's just taking each of those individual subjects that you're thinking about and just acknowledging that they're there, and then mentally just putting them on the side. And like that, we're creating a sort of internal space that we're going to work in. So once you've taken a few minutes to do that, just looking internally, seeing what's there and putting to the side. Then the next step is to locate what's called the felt sense. And that's where you bring your attention to one particular subject or issue, something that feels present for you in that moment, the thing that you're looking to work on with the practice. And instead of thinking about it, diving into it in your thoughts, trying to unpack it, trying to solve it, you do something which is a bit more like just being present with it, just feeling it, being aware of it. And as you do so, just waiting for a kind of sense of it to emerge in your body. So the example I'll use is, maybe I'm having some issues in a relationship. And so if I choose that issue, I can bring into my awareness that particular relationship and the troubles I'm having in that relationship. And if I was to use my mind to solve it, I might be trying to think through, well, what did I say? What did they say? What should I do next time I'm with them? Why is it that it's bothering me? Many ways to think about such a subject. But in this practice, we're not going down that path. We're just staying aware of the fact that I'm having issues in a certain relationship. Just keeping that awareness. And as I'm staying aware of it, I'm just sensing into, how does that feel in my body, actually? My awareness of the issues in that relationship. Where can I feel that? So this is what Genlin was calling the felt sense. And it can be a little bit tricky to get at first. It's not quite the same thing as an emotion. So if I have a clearly defined emotional response, like when I think about that emotion, when I think about that relationship, it makes me feel angry. That's fine, that's okay. So that's an emotion there, and we can take that and acknowledge that, and also try and put it to the side to clear our space. What we're really looking for is what's the kind of more bodily, experiential aspect of it, which may not really be so easy to name. Actually, it might be quite vague. It might just be a kind of background sensation. It might be quite a specific sensation somewhere in the body that we're not exactly sure how to put words to, but that's the kind of felt sense we're looking for. And once we have that felt sense, we move into step 3, which is what we call finding the handle. So once I've got a kind of a sense of this difficult relationship somewhere in my body, again, without trying to explain or analyze what I'm feeling, I just do something more like listen to it and see if some kind of word or phrase or image emerges that can represent the quality of what I'm feeling. So, for example, I might feel like I have a kind of tightness. Something feels tight, maybe in my chest. Or I could feel like maybe I have some kind of heaviness on my shoulders. Or it might be a little bit more elaborate than that. It might be a phrase like, I might feel like I'm standing on the edge of something. Or I might feel like I'm about to be in trouble. Something of that nature. We try to keep it relatively short, no more than a phrase. We don't want to get into long analysis. It's just seeing what emerges naturally. So when I have that handle, that word or phrase or image, then what I do is move on to step 4, which is resonating. And what that means is I take that word, so in this case I'll say tightness. I'll take that word and I'll try and cross-reference it back to the real felt sense. So I've got something here that seems related to this relationship I'm having trouble with, and the word tight emerges. So I bring that word tight to what I'm feeling here, and I kind of check. Does that fit? Does that feel right? And sometimes you might have a sense immediately that yes, that's it. That's the right kind of description for what I'm feeling, and so you might get a sense of a kind of a nice fit of things falling into place, a sort of realization or some kind of response as you do that. Sometimes not, and so sometimes you might just keep listening and trying with more words or images. So if I feel something there, I say, is it like tightness? And then I check, is this tightness? And as I feel, I might actually get the sense that tightness is not quite the right word. It's actually a little bit more like some kind of vibration. Feels like some kind of maybe tense vibration there. And so I might try with that word. Is that what this is? More like tense vibration? And maybe there I get more of a sense, yeah, okay, that feels closer, that feels like a fit. So you just keep going with that process. Again, not rushing or pushing or trying too hard, just experimenting with different words, phrases, images, whatever. Really just listening, actually, to see what seems to be emerging from the felt sense. So once you have a handle, in this case, tense vibration, then what you do is move on to step 5, which is the asking step. So that's where you actually formulate some questions internally, and then you pose those questions to that felt sense in your body. And the questions are in the following structure to begin with. Of course, you experiment, but these are good ones to start with. One question to ask is, what is it about this that feels that way? So in my specific example, what is it about this trouble in the relationship that feels like tense vibration? Another question you can ask, what does this need? What does this tense vibration need? Or what's actually at the center of this tense vibration? And then you just wait. Try not to come up with an answer in your mind. There's no particular objective to get to there. It's the questions are really a way of prompting whatever is already there to arise. So it's really an exercise of asking and then just listening for the response. And then the step 6 is receiving. So just allowing for whatever comes from those questions, whether it be some thoughts that arise, or an image, or even a kind of physical sensation or emotional sensation, like a kind of a shift or sense of release, or a moment of recognition or clarity, something of that nature. Just wait and allow for that to come. And when it does, just receive it. No need to analyze it or do anything with it. Just allow it to land. That's it, the 6 steps. Just to go over that one more time. First, you clear a space mentally by acknowledging whatever is there and then just sort of putting it to the side. Secondly, you choose one particular subject or issue and you bring it into your awareness and bring it into your bodily sensation, looking for the felt sense of that particular subject. Step 3, you're finding the handle, you're allowing for the word, the phrase, the image that describes this felt sense to emerge. Step 4, you're resonating, you're just checking that that particular handle, word, phrase, image is feeling right, feeling like a good fit for what you're experiencing. And you can be going back and forth a few times on that. Step 5 is the asking. So once you have that good fit description, that handle, you can start to pose some questions. And finally, step 6 is just allowing whatever comes from posing those questions to come and just experiencing the result of that. Those are the basics. That might be a bit confusing at first, and that's totally normal. This is really something that you learn and develop by actually practicing it, more so than by just hearing about it. So don't worry if you're feeling a little bit lost or confused at this stage. And also don't worry if you're not really sure exactly what the point of this is. In fact, it's really, really useful foundational skill for the program itself and also for life in general. And that's because actually most of us, when we're dealing with something difficult inside of ourselves, we have one of two strategies normally. We try and solve that experience through thinking about it, or we do our best to kind of ignore, avoid, or minimize what's going on. So focusing, this skill is actually a third option, a third way of dealing with what's going on inside ourselves. And actually it's a way that most people have not been taught. And it's just a way of being present with your own inner experience without being overwhelmed by it or without needing to distance yourself from it. And that capacity to really be clear and present and calm with what is going on inside yourself without being destabilized by it is actually foundational for then being able to take steps to resolve, transform, or heal whatever is inside and weighing down. So as I say, really important skill for the program, something we're going to be building on over the next weeks, and also just a really useful skill for life as well. Important to keep in mind that as a skill, it is something that develops with practice. So some people also can find it much more natural and intuitive in the beginning. Other people can find it very unfamiliar, strange, inaccessible, and that's totally normal. So just be patient with yourself. Really keep in mind you're just taking first steps on this, and don't try to look for any particular outcome or any particular kind of experience. There's nothing you're supposed to be feeling with this. The point is just simply to get familiar with this process, to understand these steps, and just to try, experiment with moving through them and see what comes up for you. In our session together, we will go through this together and have more of a chance to be able to talk about how that's working for you and see what comes of it. So that's the basic overview. Hopefully you found that interesting. As I said, you've got on this page some notes, some instructions for you to also review if you prefer to read through there, just to make it even clearer for you. And there is a audio recording which you can listen to when you've got 15-20 minutes, which will take you through the process yourself, so you can start practicing the process already in your own time, at your own speed, when you have the capacity. And if you're able to do that before our next session, that would be great material for us to start reflecting on in the session. In any case, we'll also make some time in session to go through that process to explore it together. So looking forward to hearing your reflections on all of that, and seeing you in the next session.